Today I'd like to teach you how to make pickles and share an old family recipe with you. My grandmother made these pickles and my mom made these pickles when I was a kid, and I've got friends from high school who still talk about them today. And my mom and I are still making them today for my children, so I'm excited to share this recipe with you. Okay, the first thing I want to do is heat up a bunch of jars. You need to have everything really hot and sterile and clean. So I've just come back from picking my pickles. I'm going to get my jars started, and then while they're heating up, I'm going to clean my pickles. Okay, so you'll want to start with nice clean wide-mouthed jars, and I like to fill the pot with hot water because it saves a lot of time. Okay, so my jars are warming up, and I just wanted to take a quick second to talk to you about the pickles before I start washing them. More than likely you've bought some pickles from somewhere, or you're going to. We like to get them as fresh as possible, so we grow as many as we can here to get a nice big batch, pick them and can them right away. That's ideal. So the main thing is that they're kind of crispy, so if you just bought a box and they're kind of older, I would get them in water right away, get them soaking in nice cold water to kind of crisp them up. And then we're going to clean all of the little spots and leaf or flower ends and everything off of them so they're nice and clean, and get them, I like to use lots of water and just have them as clean as possible and cold and crisp. Okay, so we have this little scrubby that we use only on the pickles. I've noticed some of the green coming off of it, so I can't say I would necessarily recommend that, but you definitely want to have something that you would only use for the pickles. And you can see I just give them a nice little scrub to get all those little black pieces off, and make sure the ends are good and clean. So just kind of give them an overall touch and make sure everything's off of them. Here are the ingredients. I will post the recipe in the description and also in this video, but to go through it here, we'll be using 2 heads of dill. This is the form I like it, where it's not too far gone into the seed form and not still really yellow. We'll be using 2 cloves of garlic, 2 bay leaves. We'll be adding 3 teaspoons of granulated sugar and 3 teaspoons of pickling salt. Ideally, however, kosher salt works as well. And we'll be adding 3/4 of a cup of boiling vinegar, 5% white vinegar. You'll also be needing some boiling hot water to top off the jars. Here are the tools that you will need. This is for grabbing the jars out of the boiling hot water. Very handy tool. This is for getting the lids out of the boiling hot water. It's got a magnet on the end. And it's nice to have a jar funnel as well for topping the jars off with boiling hot water. Okay, so on my stovetop I'm using all 4 of my elements. Right now I've got my pots warming up. I've got some water ready for boiling. This is vinegar that I'm going to boil as well, so both of those will need to be boiling really hard once you get started. And then a small pot for some lids, because you're going to need to warm up your lids. It's best to use brand new lids. They get a better seal, and you can actually use the old ones if you are in a pinch, but ideally you're going to use some fresh ones. I think I'm going to about 5. Okay, everything's getting really hot, so I'm going to get started. I'll start by pulling the jar out, of course, first. I have lots of kind of space to put hot, wet things. Okay, I'm going to start with my scoops of salt and sugar, so I don't forget. You put 3 teaspoons of salt and 3 teaspoons of sugar. 2 bay leaves, or 1 big one, depending. A nice big head of dill, or if it's kind of small, like a head and a half, or a head and a small, sorry, a big one and a small one, or a nice big one. And then, did I put my garlic in there? I did not. I'm going to put 2 cloves of garlic in. Now the jar should be so hot that you can hardly hold it when you're doing this, so I usually take a cloth and hold the jar like this, and I pick out my nice big ones, and I start by going carefully around the bottom with nice big pickles. Just filling it in so they hold each other up. And it's nice to have a variety of sizes, so you can kind of squish that little skinny one in the side there and get some extras. And my mom and I both really like to pick the pickles when they're nice and small because they're super yummy. But they also help fill the space in the jar on the top. If you don't have a bunch of little ones, because I know when I bought them in the past I was kind of bummed they didn't have any little ones, you can cut some up and just put them in on the top. Oh, my water's boiling, that's good. Pull that off, and so is my vinegar. Yeah, you can just cut up some little ones on the top, just to help fill the top of the jar. And then I'm going to take my boiling vinegar and add 3 quarters of a cup of vinegar. And I'm going to top the jar off with boiling hot water. And I'm going to take my clean cloth and wipe the rim. Just make sure it's nice and clean. And then my lid grabber. Oh, and you get your bands ready first. And then tighten it down with a nice, good, strong twist. And then you're going to mix it up and get that salt and sugar all dissolved in the bottom. You want to make sure that there's no granules left before you leave that jar in a good spot where it can just rest and not be touched for a while. Okay, and then you keep doing that. Definitely have enough to do 5 jars, and I've only warmed up 4 jars. So what I'm going to do is take my next jar and slowly pour the hot water into another jar I've placed in the sink here. That'll give the jars a chance to warm up kind of gradually before I drop it into some boiling hot water. So if you're doing a big batch, that's a way you could kind of rotate the jars through the hot water. Another trick for if you are doing a big batch, I'd recommend measuring out something that's exactly 3 teaspoons of salt, 3 teaspoons of sugar. Makes this step a little faster. And then the same with the vinegar. My ladle, I've measured it out, it's exactly 3/4 of a cup. So I often will just use my ladle instead of doing the 3 every time. A little less time consuming. Let's get that jar in there. Put my pickles in up to the rim where the collar of the lid will go. That's kind of your line for your pickles and for your liquid when you're done. So it's the next day and I'm going to check my jars. You'll know when they've sealed if the lids are in the down position and they don't pop up. If you find that you have a couple that didn't seal properly and the lid won't stay down, you can put them in the fridge and that sometimes will work to seal them up, or just keep those in the fridge and eat them. The flavor comes in within about 6 weeks and they store well when they're sealed properly for up to about 2 years before they start to lose their crispy. Well, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope it encourages you to give it a try. It really didn't take me that much time, maybe an hour, less than that, and I was playing around with the camera quite a bit. So give it a try. I hope you love them. Please subscribe. Have a great day. Okay, so I just realized that I definitely have enough to do 5 jars and I've only warmed up 4 jars. So what I'm going to do is take my next jar and slowly pour the hot water into another jar I've placed in the sink here. That'll give the jars a chance to warm up kind of gradually before I drop it into some boiling hot water. So if you're doing a big batch, that's a way you could kind of rotate the jars through the hot water. Another trick for if you are doing a big batch, I'd recommend measuring out something that's exactly 3 teaspoons of salt, 3 teaspoons of sugar. Makes this step a little faster. And then the same goes with the vinegar. My ladle, I've measured it out, it's exactly 3/4 of a cup. So I often will just use my ladle instead of doing the 3 every time. A little less time consuming. Better get that jar in there. Probably even do 2 more. I'm going to turn that off because I'm almost done. Those 3 big ones are annoying. When they're really big, you can't fit very many in. So that's another reason I really like the smaller ones. Come on. Oop. I'm gonna put my pickles in up to the rim where the collar of the lid will go. That's kind of your line for your pickles and for your liquid when you're done. Back on. Shake it up. Okay, it's been a couple hours and it's time for the test. Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. None of them. Well, 2 of them did. Interesting. Well, I think what I'll do is mark these ones with an X and keep a close eye on them. They did pop down at least once I touched them, so I think they're probably fine. But sometimes you'll have them where they don't actually pop down, and you can put those ones in the fridge, and sometimes they'll seal up, but they should probably still get eaten within, first. Within the next couple of weeks. But yeah, they're basically ready to eat in the next couple of weeks here and good for a couple of years. So, well, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope it encourages you to give it a try. It really didn't take me that much time, maybe an hour, less than that, and I was playing around with the camera quite a bit. So give it a try. I hope you love them. Please subscribe. Have a great day.